Hello, everyone. My guest today is Vic Singh. He's the CEO and co-founder, or he was the CEO and co-founder of Infer, a company that provides a predictive platform for helping businesses win more customers. That was acquired by Ignite. He's also an EIR at Sutter Hill Ventures. Now he's working on a stealth startup in the enterprise AI space. Vic, you ready to take us to the top?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Talk to me about what you're working on. What's the company do?
Yeah, so we're still in stealth mode, but we've been kind of in R&D mode for like the last 12 to 18 months. And I teamed up with the person, his name is Danny Ryan, and he is a big self-driving car genius who worked at NEO, and they're obviously doing a lot of self-driving cars there, technology. And we kind of teamed up together, and we were thinking about self-driving car technology is pretty amazing. Like if you 10 years ago, if you told someone a car is going to drive by itself, they'd probably think you're crazy. And now these cars are doing it, and the advances that have been made in computer vision to pull it off is pretty remarkable. And you have companies like Google and other companies who poured billions of dollars into self-driving car tech. So it's caused the technology.
Are you literally talking about like LiDAR and like the camera technology or something else?
Actually, those capabilities have improved as well, but really the vision. You look at deep learning, and those types of algorithms and machine learning models have been applied at large scale, has really helped improve the accuracy and the safety of the self-driving car tech.
So when did you start writing code for this new stealth idea? What year?
This was actually probably about a year ago. Okay. So that's when we started, really writing down the code and building some infrastructure libraries. And it's nice that we can leverage a lot of these capabilities that already exist, that kind of the big giants have been developing.
So what is this like 8 months, 10 months from now when you guys are live? Like who is signing up to use this, you think, in the future?
Yeah. So the application of what we're doing is we're not really doing self-driving car tech, right? What we're really interested in is the advances have been amazing there, but how do we take it to something else? So I'm not a car fanatic. I'm not a huge believer in new startups that build self-driving cars. I think it's really hard to compete with the giants. But if you look at the vision advances that have been made there, they've been amazing. And so could we apply that instead of to controlling cars, could we use that to control computers themselves, right? Think of your screen. It has all these pixels. You're looking at your browser and all this text. And if you applied the same algorithms that your self-driving car is using to your screen, it performs remarkably. It's actually a lot easier, right? It's very high quality.
What does that mean?
So let's say you have your browser open, you're looking at like a LinkedIn page, right? And you're scrolling down. If you had one of these vision techniques that are being applied, with your car that's reading stop signs that are far away and fuzzy and has bird poop on it, it's much harder, but it's still able to identify those things. If you take that capability and apply it to your screen, it would know exactly what's going on, right? Because the resolution is so high. And so it can understand the text really well. OCR accuracy is improved dramatically. And so if you can understand what's going on the screen, then it's possible to control the mouse and keyboard in the same way you control a steering wheel and a gas pedal in a car to actually doing the work that humans do on computers.
But so there's a lot of a car only has a definitive amount of moves, or it's quantifiable. When I'm looking at a browser, I can do anything on the internet with my fingers and my eyeballs.
Yeah, even with the car, you'd be surprised. There's lots of degrees of freedom. Even turning left, like how much you turn left, like how much you turn right. There's quite a bit of freedom there. Here, if you think about it, you just got a keyboard that has only a certain number of characters on it, and you have a mouse that clicks, and you just move things on an XY position. And so it's more about can we automate the things that humans do that are repetitive or manual or hard to make consistent. And so if you look at the RPA space, they have done a really remarkable job in finding repetitive, things to automate. Data entry into Salesforce, data entry into SAP systems. If you look at banks, automating the loan application process so that you don't have to do data entry multiple times. So they've kind of done that. But if you look at how those programs have been developed, they're really rule-based. You have to define the rules. You're basically writing code.
Everyone listening probably is familiar with Zapier, right? So that's like the elementary version of this, and maybe UiPath would be like a way more advanced version of this. So
exactly.
Where on the spectrum?
Yeah, so we're almost on a completely different spectrum, because if you look at UiPath, you're basically hiring RPA engineers to write the code.
Yeah,
and it's like a different type of language where you're writing code. In our world, it's more about can we watch what you're doing and actually learn and develop an application that models what you're doing with AI. So it actually generates
your no code macro building, basically.
Exactly. And so what we're interested in is now we have the capability, we've developed this. Now we want to not only have this infrastructure, but we want to build the applications, the killer applications that run on it. So if you look at the RPA space and the Zapier game, they're more about, we'll give you the infrastructure, you plug in the stuff you want, you build the automations you want. We actually want to build the apps too. And so we've been looking at a variety of different applications. One application that we've been really interested in is if you look at kind of how people connect with other people, like and do research about companies and do diligence and get references about companies. Today, there's these huge consulting firms that you go and hire, and then they have yeah, right. And you have these associates you work with. They'll go and call a whole bunch of people, try to set meetings for you. It's very manual. It's very expensive. These meetings can be anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000 a meeting. And it really varies depending on what associate is working with you. So associates have different skill levels. And so the quality of the matches you get in terms of who you connect with for find out more about a company or a market can vary. And so we thought, well, what if you actually just automate that? What if we use our capability and we actually do the same work these associates and these armies of consultants do? Could we actually just replace that need for huge human labor and not only do that and bring the cost down for all parties, but we can also drive better quality and better accuracy and better matches to getting the best information that you need.
So regardless, the person you're going to find let's say someone wants to go hire an expert in Google search and you go find Eric Schmidt. Right now, an associate might have to dig around to find Eric Schmidt. You're saying you can find Eric Schmidt faster and cheaper. Somebody still has to get him live though on the call. That's the hard part.
So the queries that people have that they run through these firms today are a little bit more broad. If you have a very specific person you want to talk to, then arguably the better way to do that is through your own network or through an introduction and just go to that person directly. But if it's more like, hey, I want to talk to 100 customers of Salesforce, and I want to find out if they like the product or not and what their issues are. And if you want to do that, you can call up these consulting firms. They'll go and try to find you those companies, and they'll try to find the right people in those companies. Maybe you want to talk to the engineering side, or maybe you want to talk to the sales side, or maybe you want to talk to the product people. So you kind of give like your job title and you give a couple, examples of the companies you want to go after. And then they'll go and like find people either in their network or go reach out to new companies. And they're sending requests or figuring out the incentives. Like, hey, if you take this call with this person, I'll pay you $500. They have to figure out all that out manually. And in reality, it's actually a big optimization problem. Right. So you have this big search space, which is like who you go after and who are the people who are more likely to respond and who's the best match to the request the person has. And then it's an incentive problem, which is like, okay, should I pay this guy $100, $200, $600, $9,000? So all that stuff is tons of variance. And this is all being left to, whoever the associates are that you're working with. And so if you can automate that process, you can lead to better quality matches, do it for better pricing, and you can remove the human aspects, the slowness and the variance of it, and actually generate more results. So sometimes because you're using humans, you might only get one meeting or 2 meetings max. But if you want to talk to like 50 people, that's going to take a much larger army of people to generate those meetings for you. And so with our work, we scale infinitely, right? We just throw more machines at it, throw more processes at it. We can get you, if you want, 5 people talk to you.
This is how people use. This is why Zoom Info IPO, right, and just broke a $16 billion market cap. You type in, I want to talk to CFO. Then you go to a company like BuiltWith, get technographic data, and say they all installed the Salesforce JavaScript on their site. Boom, you have a list literally of every company online that uses Salesforce and their CFO with the JavaScript embed. Like, I just don't understand. How are you making your thing 10x better so people switch from their current flows over to what you're building?
Well, so if you look at kind of diligence versus like what Zoom Info is doing, they're kind of helping you build the list of targets that you need to go after and the data about those people. Then there's kind of the secondary effect, which is how do you actually break into those accounts and actually get meetings with those people and get them to respond to you and talk to you. And that's where you have to hire, either in the case of diligence, like big consulting firms.
Okay, so you're replacing that. You're going to say this person's better on Twitter, this one stick to a LinkedIn, this one cold email, this one pick up the phone and call.
Exactly. This is like outreach automated. It does the actual things that you would hire consultants or reps to do. And it can do it arguably more effectively because it can do everything a human can do. Because a lot of the things that humans do to do these processes today is incredibly manual. There's no APIs for 50% of this stuff.
I get it. Right. So like if this does well for you, you are going to essentially build a much better like RPA driven outreach.io or sales loft. And then additionally, your first killer app is going to be disintermediating GLG and consulting firms.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of the areas that we're playing with to some extent. The growth area, like sales and marketing, is a trickier beast because incentives and stuff you have to be careful about that, how you apply those things. In the diligence space, it makes more sense. But in the, when you're doing sales and marketing, you have to be wary of the rules and regulations around that as well, because you can't, like, for example, pay someone to take a meeting and then they buy your product because there's a conflict of interest. So you have to be a little bit different how you reach out, but it's a similar type of approach.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay, so where are you guys at today? You've been doing this for 18 months. I mean, are you rich? How are you paying yourself?
Yeah, so we had some capital from our previous acquisitions. That's kind of what helped us bankroll it, and obviously the technical investments we made are important. It's a fairly hard AI problem, and so
how much have you two put in so far personally?
We're not disclosing amounts yet, but what we have done is in the last 6 months, we've actually brought on customers. So we have many customers, many of whom even have more than 10 billion in capitalization. So we're cranking and it's doing well. Feedback's really strong. It's still stealth, but we're excited to hopefully.
When you say customers, are we talking 10 customers or 1,000 customers?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely in the tens of customers since we're small.
Enterprise motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. Okay, and when you say,
but we think we can grow and support that volume though.
I think you just said 10 billion of AUM. Are you targeting financial firms?
There's a mix. So there's various types there's corporate companies who want to do diligence stuff or breaking into new markets, doing market research, but there's also obviously the investment firms, and the investment firms obviously in the space of diligence, they tend to be a larger chunk of the revenue for the current companies in that market. So many of the companies we're working with are in that space too.
Got it. VC firms, private equity firms, diligence firm, M&A firms, investment bankers, etc.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay, got it. And so you guys got going on this, I think you said about 18 months ago, you've been sort of in stealth building this. You're putting in your own personal capital to date. You guys haven't raised anything traditional?
Yeah, we haven't done any new raise for this company yet. But we're, based on the momentum we're going to
raise, you come from this world. If you were going to go raise, I mean, do you plan to raise this year?
It's a possibility. I mean, based on what we're seeing right now and the feedback we're getting, it feels realistic.
So
but we're not in a rush either. We're growing, and so it's just a matter of it depends on what market we end up kind of really going after. If we're going after the enterprise segment, or if we're going after kind of a tail and we want to make this open to everyone to use, then we probably want to build that product out first and then be able to raise on that. So right now we're kind of still in that early phase of running it with tens of logos and then see what the feedback looks like, and then decide what market we go after, and then that's going to dictate how we bankroll it.
When you guys came off the ground, I guess 18 months ago, did you just go, we'll split it 50-50, we're equal partners, or did you do something different?
Our equity structure, we're not really disclosing that as well. That's pretty sensitive.
Part of the reason we do the show, though, is to help people understand how to create a company. The number one conflict, and usually the first conflict with co-founders, is equity. So talk about it to the extent that you can.
Yeah, I think so. In general, what I think the way the equity structure should be split is based on where where a person came in. So if, for example, you have
Victor, I don't want to use a hypothetical.
Day zero.
I don't want to use a hypothetical. I want to use your example. Did you both start on day one?
No, it wasn't all started on day zero.
Who started first, you or him?
I did.
Okay, so it was your idea. Then you sort of brought him in. And from a capital perspective, are you both saying we'll both put in equal amounts of capital, or are you really bankrolling this thing?
Yeah, we had proceeds from our previous acquisitions that worked, and so that's kind of where that's bankrolled.
You or him, because this is part of the co-founder thing. Sometimes co-founders bankroll it and the other one gets less equity because of it. Other times it's opposite.
Yeah, I mean, so even with my previous company, we would buy into our shares, but we weren't necessarily bootstrapping it with significant personal capital. And we were kind of fortunate with our previous company. We were able to bring in investors early on, and we obviously bought into our equity stakes. So we owned those shares and we put that skin in the game. So the significant portion of the business that we're running is not based on necessarily our personal cash, but proceeds either from investors or people who've been involved with our company before. And so and that's the case with this one as well. And then when we go raise the next round, obviously the investors are going to are going to put most of the money in the next round too. So
Cool. Well, listen, I'd ask where people can learn more about you, but you're not disclosing. Is it stealth? So we'll skip that question. Vic, I appreciate you.
Yeah, that'll be for the next podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for taking us to the top, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Awesome.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.